What's up, YouTube? It's getting around about evening over here, and I wanted to tell you guys a story about this goat right here, Shakey Legs. And I want to tell you guys this story because this story has had a profound impact on my life. This little goat right here. I think it's a good story, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is Shakey Legs, and I want to start this story off by saying, any of you guys who have had sick children or have sick children or have lost a child to sickness, I cannot even begin to comprehend the grief that you have experienced because I got a little taste of it with Shakey Legs. When we first got these goats, we've got 7 of them, I didn't want to have anything to do with them. I'm busy, man. I didn't want to have more animals to take care of. And so I was real standoffish. But, I was still around here. So we noticed within a couple of days after getting these 7 goats that this little goat right here was different. She was sick. She started to develop a real runny nose, and we just kind of shrugged it off. Maybe it was the stress from her getting moved out here. She was young. And as the days went by, she got weaker and weaker. And that's where she earned her name, Shakey Legs. She walking around, she couldn't quite get her balance, and she had this runny nose, and keeps going by, and finally she gets to the point where she can't get up. All right? And so that's when we called the vet, the doctor, or Brooke did. And the vet comes out, and of course, what do doctors do? They prescribe medicine. And so that's what they did for Shakey Legs. They prescribed her some medicine and just said, well, hopefully that's going to work for her and get her to feeling better. Well, it didn't. She kept getting worse. She got to the point that she would fall down on her side, and she couldn't even get back upright. And we would come out here in the mornings, or Brooke would come out here in the mornings, and Shakey Legs will have been on her side all night, and you could see where she was just kind of clawing, with her legs, and it was real sad, and we didn't know what to do. Now, we call the vet, keep giving her the medicine, right? So Brooke finally gets to the point with Shakey Legs where it's too much for her alone, because now Shakey Legs can't even get up and eat. So we're having to feed her, Brooke's having to feed her with a bottle every 2 or 3 hours. And she's got to be here all the time, because if Shakey Legs falls on the ground and can't get up, well, she's going to lay there and potentially die. And so finally Brooke's just at her wit's end, and I'm kind of hearing about all this stuff going on. And let me tell you, I'm not naturally a caring person, but I do well in a crisis. And this was an example of a crisis. Either this goat's going to die, or we're going to step up and try our best to save its life. So that's when I entered into the equation, and I made this goat a special project of mine. One morning, we come out here, Brooke came out here, and Shakey Legs had been on her side all night, and she had gotten a little hypothermic. Her body temperature dropped, and Brooke just said, I can't do this no more. And I came up here and got Shakey Legs and took her down there into the sauna and kept her in the sauna with me until she warmed back up. And that was probably the first time that I took responsibility of her. And I started dedicating my days to caring for this goat. I spent hours a day feeding this goat by hand, checking on this goat, making sure she stayed alive. We made a little out of one of our bathrooms. We put towels down on the floor, and we started bringing her in every night. And there was another goat we have that was her best buddy named Squirt, and we would bring Shakey Legs and Squirt in to the bathroom every night just to keep them warm, because we knew she'd fall on her side. And I began to be attached to this goat and to love this goat and to care about this goat's life. Well, the medicine's still not working. She's just barely hanging on, but she never stopped fighting, man. This goat never stopped fighting. And that was, to me, her spirit, that fighting spirit. Anytime I would bring her a bottle, man, she would always try to eat, and she could barely eat. I mean, I'd sit with 3 ounces of bottle, and it would take her 30 minutes to drink it down. But she never stopped fighting. Even when she'd fall on her side, she would always try her best to get up. And man, it's crazy to think you would be inspired by a goat. That fighting spirit, that no quit, that no, I'm not gonna freaking give up. Well, this goat had it. And it was my project to do everything I could to keep this goat alive. Shakey Legs. Well, about halfway through all this, we realized another thing that she's got going on is she was covered in mites, and they were irritating her skin. So we, amongst all the other medicine we were giving her, we had to treat her for mites. And there's this stuff you pour on their back right there, and kills the mites. Well, we did that to her, and so now here she is, can barely eat, can't walk, can't stand up. We poured that medicine on her, and her immune system was so weak, all of her hair fell out on her back. She went bald all the way across her back. Pitiful. All the other goats were being mean to her, like they was making fun of her, man. Well, we keep trying, nothing's getting better. One day I had to go out of town. I went to Charlotte, North Carolina to pick up my Land Cruiser. And the vet had called Brooke, and the vet said, Shakey Legs probably ain't gonna make it. We've been updating the vet on her progress. She probably ain't gonna make it. She's probably gonna die. And Brooke called me and told me that. And it destroyed me, man. It wrecked me. Hear the doctor saying this little creature's gonna die, and there's nothing I can do about it. More than likely. So man, we start looking for all kinds of there's gotta be another option. There's gotta be something else. And the medicine that the vet's giving us again is not doing nothing. So finally, Brooke, by way of her own research, finds a medication that is not legal in the United States for livestock animals. We had to order this from Canada. And we ordered some of that. Luckily, she stays alive. And we give her this medication ordered from Canada. And it was the first time we saw any progress. We saw any improvement. And it was like a glimpse of hope, just to see some improvement. And over the weeks after this medication, she starts to gain her strength back. She never quits fighting. she starts to get to where she can walk around a little bit, but she still can't get up on her own. So I'd spend hours out here, and I would just barely help her up. And I'm trying to teach her to stand up again. And she never lost the will to fight. And finally, I teach her to where she can get up on her feet. I'll never forget the first time that goat stood up on her feet by herself. And I knew then that if something happened to her and I wasn't around, that then she would be able to get up and walk to water or walk to food or not lay out here and freeze to death. And it was like one of the best things that's ever happened. And I developed a deep care and loving relationship with that goat like nothing I've ever experienced before. And this light keeps going off. And it's impacted me profoundly. You know, a lot of times when I was growing up, man, it was always my job to kill stuff. And then I joined the military. It's like my whole life has been a process of hardening myself. I've been hardened on so many different levels. And this little goat right here has showed me what it's like to actually care for and love another creature. And that's all because of her fighting spirit, man. And it's been a game changer for me. And so, from a runny nose to not being able to stand, to being hypothermic, to losing all her hair, to not having any treatment, to being told she was going to die, she fought through all that. And she's doing fine today. And I love that goat. I know. It's wild. And I just want to, any of you guys that's ever had any sick kids or anything, I just want to tell you the burden that you guys bear and the level that must be on, it's incomprehensible to me. So, thank you, Shakey Legs. She's over here running around. And I want to share that with y'all. I'll put this maybe in a children's book one day. Talk about that fighting spirit. I'm sure there's stuff I forgot, occurrences I forgot. But those are the big ones. I hope you guys are doing well, man. I love y'all. It's been a good day today. Brooke and I ran our first race together. And I'll check in with y'all next week. Enough said.